Bill King hosts Nashville Sports Radio 6 to 9 Monday through Friday and always gives us some of his time on a Wednesday. He knows Ty rather well because Ty worked with him in Nashville before coming here to ESPN Arkansas. I'm sure he's not ever met you. I don't know if he knows what you look like, though. Bill, we do like talking food with you. And from what you know about Ty Richardson and my new co-host, he's not new anymore. We've been together since February, but he's 6'6", 3 bills. Who would you put your money on to see who could eat the most tacos in 15 minutes Saturday?
I would say your co-host, but Ty is sneaky good.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Ty, you don't think he can eat a cow, right? A whole cow. But I think he's a little underrated there. I think it's closer than you think, but the big man wins.
So, what, Bill, let me ask you this. What do I need to do to beat Ty? Like, is it speed eating to beat Ty? Is that what I need to focus on?
I think you got to knock him out. You got to elbow him in the face before you start.
Say something. I know he's such an Arkansas fan, and I think say something that would really make him mad about Arkansas. Oh, God. Right before you start, like 2 seconds before it.
Well,
and he'll be so mad. He'll be so mad he can't eat.
Absolutely. I know exactly where to start with it because, Bill, I don't know if he ever did this on your show. He'll swear up and down that Darren McFadden is the greatest Razorback of all time. Me and Tommy have done it on the Morning Rush a couple times. If we just say, Darren McFadden's like the 4th or 5th greatest Razorback.
Yeah, number 5 is number 5.
Number 5 is number 5. He's 5th on his face will get Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer red.
I mean, he was good, but we're all the time. That's a pretty big list now.
Absolutely,
it's all about psychology.
It's all about best getting in the head.
All right, Bill. I saw Georgia's going to have to be looking for a new athletic director now. Greg McGarrity steps down after 10 years. That is a premier athletic director's job. Like that's a place where you go to end your career. What are your thoughts on McGarrity stepping down and how that might affect Georgia overall?
No, you're right. That's a gold mine of a location and job and athletic department to run. If you could just get basketball right, because guys, I go back to 1984. I was in college, but the year after Dominique Wilkins turned pro, they got into the Final Four. It actually was 83 because it was the year NC State won it, and. So I've seen them good at that state is loaded with basketball talent. It's just they just haven't gotten it right too many times through the years. Yeah, it's an outstanding job. There's somebody on the staff, I forget, that might get elevated there. I don't know if they're going to hire from outside.
So let me stay on Georgia for a moment here because I can't even believe that you could actually go both ways on this. Who beats who worse Saturday? Georgia beating Vanderbilt or Alabama beating LSU?
Boy, oh my gosh.
Isn't that an amazing question to ask?
I'm going to say Georgia. Vanderbilt literally isn't even fielding a team right now. I mean, it's beyond. Guys, I've seen, it feels like 50 years of garbage football from Vanderbilt. This is maybe the lowest of the low, if you can imagine that. And so I could see Georgia, Daniels is out there catching up stat-wise. They're breaking in some new receivers. Running game got cranked in the South Carolina game, didn't get anything done prior. So I could see Georgia running it up. LSU and Alabama, that's personal too, because LSU beat them last year. A very high-scoring game, but I'm gonna go Georgia Vandy. I may regret that.
Bill King here with us on halftime. Bill, let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little Arkansas, Missouri heading into this Saturday. There was a couple SEC Network guys that were talking about that this game. Whoever wins this has the front door seat to the SEC Coach of the Year. And both coaches have done incredible work. But I want to focus more on Eli Drinkowitz for a second. What's been your impressions of him this season with what the kind of maybe not necessarily a turnaround at Missouri, but really keeping the ship heading in the right direction for the Missouri Tigers?
Early switch happened in the Tennessee game at quarterback. That was big. Offensively, they have some talent. They can score in bunches, and then they can go dry on you as well. But I like his style. He's a hard-nosed, tough physicality. He's got to be important as part of our football team offensively and defensively. The only problem with Missouri is it's probably not ever going to get back to where Gary Pinkel was with a couple of SEC titles. I don't see them getting back there, and recruiting is pretty good there, but there's really no indigenous area that they totally dominate. That's going to be a problem there too. But yes, I like the job he's done so far, guys.
And when you look at it from the Arkansas side of the point of view, obviously the big news of the week here, especially here in Fayetteville and here in Fort Smith and Arkansas, Rakeem Boyd opting out for the final 2 games of the season, maybe 3 games depending on the bowl game. I guess first, like your overall impressions of him opting out, and B, what kind of impact is not having Rakeem Boyd on that Arkansas offense going to make against the Missouri Tigers?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty big void there. Guys, I know we're on in Arkansas. I would say this in any state, whether it was Terrence Marshall or if it was Sam Cosme just the other day at Texas. If you're opting out, quote, this late, you're quitting. You're quitting your team. You're quitting your teammates. I mean, come on. You've had forever to figure this out. What's the point now? An agent's probably been on you for a long time. So I don't get these opt-outs here this time of season. You're quitting on your team. Doesn't mean you won't be a hell of a player on the next level. Not saying that. But I just don't get this whole Herbie's right about a few things, and this is one of them. Anyways, yeah, I mean, that's hurtful for this game coming up. There's no doubt about it. I haven't really measured it up much and thought about it, but that's a big blow.
Well, I think when you look at it, too, I mean, you bring it up to opt-out and quitting. We've had a lot of our listeners kind of been – most of them haven't been as vocal as as far as the quitting thing. They've been disappointed, but we've had a few that's just listed the quitting aspect of it. And it was brought up this morning on our morning show. Rakeem Boyd, basically, if you throw out the bowl game, which is not necessarily a guarantee, he basically had 10 games – or 10 days left, 10 days left of quote-unquote football season. And that's been the part that's really struck out to me. It's like you couldn't have just powered through for 10 more days. I understand the physicality aspect of it. I get that. But, Bill, it's 10 days.
Yeah, I mean, if you were so worried about injuries or my future, you would have opted out a long time ago.
Right.
You don't just wait until there's a week and a half, as you mentioned, left, and then, I guess I may get injured. I better get out of here. That's not the way that works. I don't like it. Again, they've got every right to do what's best for them. I get that part, but I don't have to agree with it.
Bill, we'll leave it there. Up against the break. Appreciate you as always.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We got Bill King, Nashville Sports Radio. Joins us every Wednesday here on Halftime. And we are coming up to the end of the show. 877-377-6963. If you've got anything for the last segment, which will be Change My Mind. And, I mean, there's a little bit of mind changing, I think, that our listeners have done for me, that when I do see a guy that the players voted captain, who obviously understands what the number 5 means to the fan base and to the program overall, it has a different feel than if it was somebody else deciding at this point. Like I remember a year ago, you were saying, okay, CJ O'Grady, bye-bye. You've had enough. I don't feel the same about Rakeem Boyd, All right, we'll wrap the show up with Change My Mind next. Stay with us.